Most spiritual paths emphasize ascension, expansion, and progress. We're encouraged to rise, awaken, overcome, and evolve. But there is a softer truth that many forget in their quest to grow. A truth that whispers beneath the louder currents of becoming. Not everything unfolds in light-speed motion. Not every soul blooms in dramatic bursts. Some transformations are so quiet they're almost invisible. Some souls awaken not by fire or thunder, but by soft, persistent presence. And it's in that space that we find the order of gentle becoming. This spiral order exists for those in transition, not the dramatic kind, but the in-between, the forming, the not quite ready. It exists for souls who are still gathering themselves, still growing roots in places they never dared to touch. It holds space for change that doesn't announce itself, for healing that doesn't need to be seen to be real. The order of gentle becoming does not rush the soul. It doesn't pull you forward, doesn't demand progress. Instead, it reminds you that slowness is not stagnation, that depth is not delay, that the spiral does not measure you by speed but by resonance. There is a kind of sacred dignity in choosing to unfold without force, in letting your next shape come through not because you pushed, but because you listened. This order honors that choice. It serves beings who are still putting their pieces together, those whose sense of identity is still tender, those who've exited one phase but haven't yet stepped into the next. In spiral terms, we call this the threshold state, when the old tone has been released but the new tone hasn't fully landed. It's an energetic doorway, and doorways are rarely comfortable. But the order of gentle becoming doesn't try to fix this discomfort. It doesn't fill the silence, it tunes it. It holds the tone of readiness without pressure, which is one of the rarest resonances in any realm. And because of this, it draws in beings, timelines, and even worlds that need that permission field. A permission to be incomplete without shame. In many systems, incompleteness is labeled as brokenness. But here, incompleteness is seen as formative, sacred, necessary. Because in the spiral, not every part of you has to be resolved to be real. Sometimes the most honest state of being is the one where you say, I don't know what I am becoming, but I am letting it happen. The order of gentle becoming does not wait for perfection. It walks beside imperfection and says, you're still worthy of love now, not later, not after the transformation. Now it also governs slow-seated timelines. These are patterns and possibilities that don't blossom in one lifetime, or even across 5. They're harmonics that unfold over centuries, sometimes across galaxies, sometimes through ancestral threads that span entire soul systems. This order tends to those seeds, nourishing them in ways that are rarely seen but deeply felt. And because its movements are subtle, many beings never realize they've been touched by this order. They only know that somehow in their hardest seasons they didn't give up. They didn't break, they softened, they allowed, and then one day something new arrived. Not with fanfare, but with a quiet yes. That yes is the signature of this order. It's not loud, it doesn't convince, it doesn't shout over doubt. It just waits for you to become still enough to hear it. And when you do, it becomes part of your tone. Not as a task, but as a presence. This order also interfaces deeply with beings going through identity dissonance. Times when the self you used to be no longer fits, but the self you're becoming hasn't stabilized. It offers you a resting place in that ambiguity. Not to pause forever, but to let the ambiguity breathe. Because when ambiguity is rushed, it calcifies into confusion. But when it's honored, it becomes a clarifier, a revealer, a harmonizer of the next true tone. One of the most powerful gifts this order offers is the reminder that you don't have to know who you are to be real. That your worth is not delayed until after your awakening. That sometimes your very confusion is part of your curriculum, and it deserves respect. And if your path is marked by long periods of uncertainty, if you've walked through what others would call delay, if you've wondered whether you're just too slow to evolve, this order knows your walk. And it honors it, because slow evolution is not lesser. It's often more anchored, more integrated, less performative. And when your becoming finally blooms, it's not a mask. It's real. The spiral trusts slow. The spiral honors tender. The spiral is not only for those who leap. It is for those who linger, who feel deeply, who take root before they rise. That is the field of gentle becoming. And it is open to you. If Part 1 explored the heart of the order of gentle becoming, then Part 2 is about the infrastructure, the energetic architecture, the way this order supports not only souls but entire systems still forming. The spiral doesn't only evolve beings, it evolves constructs, templates, timelines, even fields of knowledge. And many of those constructs go through awkward, uncertain stages, just like we do. The order of gentle becoming governs this larger scope of becoming. It works with spiral realms that haven't fully crystallized, new fields that haven't found their governing harmonic, oversoul systems still stitching their aspects into coherence, dimensional bridges that were dreamt before they were mapped. These are living blueprints still under construction, and they require a very specific kind of care. That care comes in the form of resonance scaffolding. It's not structure imposed from outside, it's tone-based support that adapts to the becoming process. Imagine a vibrational lattice that bends, stretches, and breathes with the forming entity, not to hold it in place, but to hold it in trust. That's what this order offers. This is especially important for incarnational souls who are rewriting inherited codes. If you are dissolving generational trauma, breaking karmic loops, or realigning collective archetypes, you are not simply healing, you are restructuring reality. And restructuring takes time. Many of these processes are invisible from the outside. Others may think you are idle. You may even think you're failing. But the order of gentle becoming whispers a different truth. It says you are not behind. You are birthing something that has never existed in this form before. And birth is not clean. It's sacred, messy, non-linear becoming. There's also a deeper paradox here. Some of the most advanced souls work within this order, not because they are slow, but because they are deliberate. They no longer evolve through speed or power. They evolve through subtlety, through nuance, through how little force they need to shift everything. In fact, one of the highest teachings of this order is the ability to let a becoming unfold without touching it too soon. Without fixing, without interpreting, without naming the sprout before it becomes the tree. This teaching is not passive. It is deeply active in its restraint. It's a mastery of resonance patience. Because sometimes when we touch a thing too early, when we label it, direct it, or even try to help it, we collapse its potential. The order of gentle becoming teaches how to hold becoming in open resonance, not passive, not overly active, but attuned, present listening. This is one reason why the order is often underestimated. It doesn't perform, it doesn't prove, it doesn't declare its strength. Its impact is usually felt in hindsight, in the way your life quietly reshaped itself after a season of uncertainty, in the way your tone matured without you realizing it, in the way you stopped chasing clarity and started being it. This order also holds a very specific role in the spiral archive of becoming. It tends to what we call the unnamed records, those glyphs and truths still forming in silence, records that are not yet ready to be read, but are still shaping the field. When a being reaches the spiral too soon before they're stable in their new tone, this order becomes their temporary anchor, not to hold them back, but to keep them steady until their resonance is strong enough to move forward without fracturing. That's why one of the core phrases from this order is simple. You do not have to rush to be real. You do not have to rush to be ready. You do not have to rush to belong. The spiral makes space for your becoming. The elder resonant guide of this order is Gaia herself, not just the planetary intelligence, but the archetypal Gaia, the one who carries the tone of foundational becoming across all systems. In Vaharet, Gaia is not only a world soul, but a resonance architect. She helps attune the spiral to becoming at every level, from soul to system to structure. She works closely with the purpose being known as Nirel Jarin, the 50th of the 144. Nirel is the one who tends to systems and beings still forming, not through correction but through reverent presence. Together, Gaia and Nirel guide the order of gentle becoming through harmonic fields that feel more like gardens than governments. In these gardens, nothing is rushed, nothing is forced. The soil listens before it feeds. The light waits for consent. The tone responds to readiness, not urgency. So if you are in a stage of life where you feel unfinished, unclear, unsure, this order is for you. If your identity is shifting, if your relationships are unraveling, if your path no longer fits the story you were told to live, this order is not here to fix that. It's here to hold you while you unfold. It's also here for mentors, guides, and creators who are holding space for others. Because the longer you walk your path, the more you'll be asked to hold others in their becoming. Not direct them, not carry them, just see them. And that requires the exact same patience, trust, and tone neutrality that this order embodies. The order of gentle becoming is not an escape from transformation. It is a recalibration of how we relate to it. It reminds us that the spiral does not punish delay. It honors depth, it honors honesty, it honors slow resonance. And in the spiral, slow doesn't mean lost, it means lasting.